Bleach Thousand Year Blood War, also known as Japan's what-if story of Nazi Germany's invasion of Imperial Japan, is shaping up to be one of the best animes of this year. Our daily sacrifices and prayers to the supreme leader for Bleach's return was indeed worth it. Studio Pierrot was able to deliver on a lot of the promises made during the lead-up of Bleach's comeback, whether that be with story adjustments or the Uga Buga Sakuga. Despite us not being halfway through the anime, we still got to see some of the best fights in Bleach. So today, I'm gonna be ranking the top 5 anime fights in the Bleach Thousand Year Blood War. This is your one and only chance to subscribe, because after listening to my takes, you will probably end up hating my guts. Starting off with the number 5, we got Aznot vs Rookia, also known as The Ring vs Snow White. This fight features my favorite Bankais and Sternator in the entire arc. So let's talk about the leader of the emos himself first. He is by far the most scary character in the whole Bleach franchise. His design in that aspect is rivaled only by the Austrian painter fan Quilge Hopi himself. What sells this fight to me is the unique way he actually fights. Instead of going full sicko mode and bombarding his opponents like a JoJo stand, he psychologically destroys them with his ability, appropriately called the Fear. But Rookia counters this ability by becoming a Wendy's frozen patty. What kinda turns me off from this fight, however, is the fact that Byakuya is alive. Like, my guy was turned into Swiss cheese, but here he is, still kicking. This was meant to be a revenge arc for Rookia, a moment when her and Renji strike fear into Aznot's heart. But sadly, that doesn't end up happening. On the bright side though, we got to see some amazing transformations. Rookia becomes the negative 1,000,000 degree nuke, and Aznot turns into the only Elden Ring boss worthy of becoming Lovecraft's body pillow. The imagery that follows of Rookia and Aznot thematically becoming the exact opposites elevates this fight even more for me. And this leads me to my next point. The animators managed to make up for the lack of frames by giving us some of the most striking visuals ever. The pure, unadulterated despair, only felt by unknowingly walking into an Elden Ring boss, was captured seamlessly by Aznot. Despite the frame count being less than other fights, the quality of visuals more than make up for it tenfold. Now coming in on number 4 spot, we got Kenpachi vs Kenpachi. Oh, would you look at that? It's the ring girl from before. This fight is for sure one of the best fights in the whole franchise, period. No shred of doubt there. The build up to this via various flashbacks from both Kenpachis, along with Shinsui's urgent rush to make this fight happen, puts into perspective not only how vital this event actually is, but also builds up the characters in the culture of the Soul Society. This bloody dance between two fight-obsessed juggernauts, a fight fated to happen for many moons now, erupts in a massive flurry of gore. The following onslaught is a feast for the eyes. Truly, two blood-billed Elden Ring players duking it out in a fearsome 1v1. It took this shit over 100 years to happen. I guess it's the same length it takes to join a PvP lobby these days. Unohana's entire demeanor in this fight, killing Kenpachi over and over again, and him not realizing it, is one of the most terrifying things ever. The creative visuals for this fight as well is just absolutely breathtaking. These two are simple beings, they just want to fight. And the visuals convey that by stripping them down to the bone and turning their surroundings into a white void. In this moment, there is nothing else around them. No Quincy's, no Soul Society, no obligations. Just the love of combat. I'm pretty sure this is their version of sex. Let me remind you that this is just number 4, so if you want to kill me for not having this as number 2, I don't blame you, because number 3 is Kenpachi vs Grammy. Oh yeah, I can just see I can literally feel the comments coming. I like to call this fight the ableist versus the special kid at school. One thing that really stands out to me in this fight is the dynamic themes Grammy puts on the table. His stick shift, the Visionary, allows him to imagine anything, from separate beings, scenarios, enhancements, and even meteors. So you might be asking, why did he lose? Well, it's kinda simple. He's the one word I can't say. He is not stable in the slightest. He is very volatile and frankly, just dumb. His creativity stat is in the negatives.
Stop! You violated the law!
He tried to imagine various ridiculous situations where Kenpachi should have been killed, but none of them really worked out. Grammy threw Kenny in space. but he came back. Grammy threw a meteor at him and still failed. If anything, all of this forced his very ability to imagine his defeat. Kenny was so overpowering that nothing Grammy could imagine actually beated him. And this instilled panic, fear, envy, damaged his ego, and boosted his adrenaline so much that he couldn't even think straight. All of that being captured in a span of a few minutes is what makes this fight so enticing. It's so unlike Bleach. Because Grammy didn't lose because he was tricked or was overpowered, but because he lacked mental maturity and battle IQ. He's just like me for real. He could have easily been a bigger threat than Watch, but Kubo balanced his ability out by making him very, very special. In Bleach we usually see competent, hardened warriors, so this was a nice change of pace, and I really think Kubo executed it pretty damn well. Number 2 on our list is Ichigo versus the Bambis, also known as the Reverse Gangbang. This might be an outrageous take, maybe even a horny take. What can I say? I like it when guys get bombarded by thick booty bitch. Kenpachi, right after his fight with Grammy, starts to eat shit. My guy looks like shit due to the Bambis ganging up on him. He is on the verge of death, and then he appears. The following fight is just a spectacle for the eyes. Smooth, flashy animation that develops the Bambis in their holy forms without a single word be uttered is just so fucking good. What? Anime used visual, subtle storytelling to explain abilities? I know, right? Another thing that I really like about this fight is how it actually feels like a proper war. It's not a disconnected series of 1v1 fights, but rather a gang up, on the main character no less. This is the first time I've seen anything like this, where weaker bad guys gang up on the main character. This really does feel like a ruthless, backhanded, no-holds-bar war where the enemy will do anything to take the target down. And this really is a breath of fresh air. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. The number 1 pick. This is what will either destroy my career or definitely not build my career, but it's Watch versus Yamamoto. If I picked any other fight, I would have been shot in Minecraft. This fight was the kickstart of the 1000-Year Blood War. There was no better kickstart, and the animation staff knew this very well. They had to get this fight down to perfection if they wanted this anime to actually succeed. And lo and behold, it has the best animation I've ever seen in Bleach. They went all out in this fight. The animation, the added story details, the expansion of the fight itself, oh boy, it is hot alright. Not enough praise can be said about this fight, so I'm just not gonna repeat what every other YouTuber said. Now for the honorable mentions, we have Quilgay OP versus Ichigo. The OP fight was just a good way to set up the terror of the Quincy's. It helped capture the German ideas Kubo had intended for the Quincy's. But the sad part is that we don't get to see the same terror in a lot of other Quincy's, except for Aznot and a few others, which is kinda disappointing.